Swipe Up, episode 239, the podcast where I share my unfiltered thoughts on the latest news and entertainment updates. I'm your host, Ray Taylor. The CNN Trump town hall was a criminal waste of airtime. I saw a organization put out a count of how many lies Trump told in, which I believe was a 2-hour-long town hall show, whatever. 139 lies were told during this thing. So probably on par for Donald Trump, somebody who exists in a delusional reality. Donald Trump appeared in a town hall on CNN for the first time since 2016. Trump has been avoiding prolonged questioning because he's a dum-dum. From outlets outside of conservative media, because sometimes anything more than a softball is hard for him to hit. But his campaign has said he is appearing on CNN to step outside, quote-unquote, step outside of the GOP comfort zone, which I find hilarious because it's been clear for a while that CNN is leaning more right-wing. Right, they are following in the footsteps of Fox News. Fox News ran so CNN could walk, or however that statement goes. I don't know. It's the new owner of the Warner Brothers, Discovery, whatever. He is a right-wing guy. He has no problem with doing business with bigots like J.K. Rowling wanting to bring a 10-season show to HBO Max, wanting CNN to lean more right wing. Absolutely ridiculous. So not that surprising, and also investors in the CEO, the business, are also right wing. So it's like the money. It's like it's all. Of course, they want to go right wing. And the idea. I mean, aside from conservatives who think that liberals or left-leaning people watch network news to begin with, is absurd. And CNN, funnily enough, like hilarious, is like their go-to network that they assume, like so many times, right? I'm sure they'll be in this comment section, crying in my comments on YouTube. Oh, look, another liberal spouting out his blah blah, another shill. They always the go-to network that they assume I watch is CNN, which I have never watched network news in my entire life. I haven't had cable since 2007. That's not where I get my news. Dummies. And by the way, CNN is kind of more your vibe these days. Although there's such like insane conservatives that they think Fox News is liberal. So it's, I don't know, we're living in a crazy time. But at no point do I think CNN is is in any way Trump stepping out of his comfort zone. I think that's a hilarious statement. Trump is facing obviously legal problems, but is in a stronger position to become his party's president nominee than ever before because, of course, Republicans have zero concern with criminals as long as the criminals are on their side. Like, murder, they literally celebrated a child who got away with murdering protesters. In Texas, the governor of Texas is getting ready to pardon a guy who murdered protesters, who, by the way, the guy that governor is going to pardon after being found guilty for murdering protesters, has done many other things. The judge in that case released all of the information, made everything public. So if you want to see the type of person that the Texas governor is going to pardon, is going to be putting back on the streets, he is not just somebody who's murdered BLM protesters. He's somebody that openly discussed murdering a homeless person and the police let him get away with it. He is somebody who has openly discussed murdering people in general. He has openly discussed other horrible, evil things involving children. So that is the party that has zero problem with criminals. Law and order is not something they ever feel should ever apply to them. It is something that is only meant, law and order is only meant to punish their opposition. That's it. Trump could be found guilty of every single crime he's ever committed in his entire life, which is a laundry list. And they wouldn't care. They would still buy his merch made in China. They would still go to his rallies draped in his merch. They'll get their tattoos of him looking like Rambo, as if Donald Trump has ever looked athletic ever in his entire life. So not surprising that they are stoked to elect a criminal. Trump was asked about his New York jury finding him liable for sexual abuse, sexually abusing a woman nearly 30 years ago and defaming her when she spoke about it publicly. Trump denied the allegations and repeated that he did not, one of the 139 lies, he denied the allegations and repeated that he did not know the woman. Which, by the way, after the court case, he publicly defamed her again. And from what it seems, she might sue him again because Trump is just he's a dumb person. And it's not surprising that other dumb people like him because they're communicating on the same 9-volt battery wavelength of stupidity. Trump was also asked about his infamous Access Hollywood video in which he bragged about grabbing women's genitals without asking permission. He defended his comments, saying that women let him do it because he was a star. It's just like, he's not a star. I mean, in some people's minds, he's a star. In the same way, some people think Hitler is a star. Being on being fired from a reality TV show doesn't make you a star. Being somebody who has like literally filed bankruptcy for what, like every business he's ever run. Somebody who literally begs his followers for money. You want to talk about people who complain about handouts while also constantly begging for handouts. You call him a successful billionaire, but yet he still begs all of his little simps to pay all of his legal bills. It is hilarious. It is hilarious how this fraud drains their bank accounts. Trump also repeated his lies about the 2020 presidential election and unfounded claims of election fraud throughout the town hall, despite being corrected by the moderator, which is like, who ever thought Trump would allow somebody to correct them? He's living in a delusional reality. They know, CNN knew going into this every single thing Trump would say. Nothing Trump said in this should have been, if you're in a news organization, you should have been prepared for his 139 lies right out the gate. But they aren't a news organization. They are there to promote him. They're giving him free advertising, right? That's all they're doing. CNN gave Trump, a criminal who is trying to become president again, to hopefully his intention again will be to try and eliminate democracy, to become the first American dictator. CNN is aiding in his goal. They are helping Trump fulfill his goal to become the first American dictator. Trump defended those involved with the January 6th insurrection, which is also hilarious how Trump supporters will call protesters insurrectionists. when no insurrection is ever like even like they don't really understand the definitions of a lot of terms, but they've been called insurrectionists so much that they just, instead of actually looking up the definition or being able to understand the definition, they just think it's an insult, so they just try to call other people insurrectionists. I was called an insurrectionist in a comment which made absolutely no sense. I'll probably be called an insurrectionist in this comment, would not be surprised. But Trump defended those involved with January 6th insurrection, Capitol, calling them proud. Well, they were proud boys and with love in their heart. It's amazing. It is amazing. It is so amazing. This is what CNN chose to promote on their platform. This is what they've spent. They allotted hours of time to promote this guy who is saying everything you would expect him to say. It's not like this was all a surprise. It's not like Trump went on CNN and surprised everybody by saying the exact same nonsense that he's been saying for years. They knew. And they want his message out there. They want his lies out there. They want to contribute to the propaganda involved in getting him elected again. That is CNN's goal. It's not about being open to both sides, because Trump's side is fictional. It is 100% propaganda, and they are participating in disseminating those lies and that propaganda. CNN is a propaganda news network 100% after this. Before this, but for sure after this. Trump also deflected when asked why he didn't ask his supporters to leave the Capitol or to send help to disperse protesters. And he tried, again, as always, to cast the blame on Speaker Nancy Pelosi, which is like, the things that they pass the buck to is just hilarious. It's just hilarious. Like, we saw what she did. We also saw the Trump family dancing in their little tent, watching on the TVs as their little sheep go try to overthrow the election for them. They're just dancing in their little tent, watching on the monitors as the government's about to be overthrown. Could care less. Don't care that President Pence could be like executed that night. They're like, yeah, let's overthrow the government. But it's Pelosi is the one involved. Hilarious. It's her, because it's the same thing with like them blaming Antifa for that. Like, why would Antifa want to make Donald Trump the president? Why would Antifa want these like aggressive children to go smear shit everywhere inside the Capitol? like why would Antifa want to go threaten the lives of the left-leaning politicians that are in, like, why would they? It doesn't make any sense. Like, none of this stuff makes sense. It's just they like spew stuff. They hear a word, they throw it back. Like, oh, you use that on me, so it must be you. Oh, you call me a fascist? Well, you're the real fascist. That's hilarious. Yeah, I'm a liberal fascist. Good one. Or they'll just combine a bunch of them. I'm a liberal, socialist, communist, fascist. Like, they'll just throw all the words. Trump falsely claimed credit for the U.S. Supreme Court overturning abortion rights last year. I mean, he did kind of pack the court with conservative nut jobs. So I don't know how incorrect that. I think he could, if he wants to take responsibility for that, by all means, be the guy who wants to take responsibility for taking privacy away from citizens. Not just women, but they took medical privacy away from all citizens when they did that. Not just abortion. They removed freedoms and privacies from American citizens. But they're the 9-volt batteries aren't that powerful. They can power a smoke detector for a few months, but in a human brain, it is you can hear the wheels squeaking. Trump is inclined to pardon many of those convicted of their roles in January 6th attack if he's elected president again, which, just like the many other claims that he said, I'm sure is false claims. Definitely wants to make it seem like he cares about those people, but he couldn't care less. He's not going to waste his time. But maybe if he becomes the next president, that will be him pardoning those people will be the least offensive thing that will happen to this country. But I can't see that. I can't see what has he ever done to help anybody ever? Unless some of those people in prison are millionaires or business partners of him, he doesn't care. Look at the people his own lawyers that he's thrown. He's people that have actually worked for him. He's thrown them under the bus. He could care less about the people in prison. He doesn't care. But of course, the CEO of Warner Brothers and is also the part of CNN, part of Warner Brothers, Discovery, that whole thing. He's conservative and wants CNN to be more right wing. And Trump does nothing but lie. 139 lies. And because of his lack of action during the pandemic, estimates hundreds of thousands of people needlessly died because of his inaction, which not that any of his followers care. They don't think it exists. Even when Trump told his people to get vaccinated, they booed him. Trump is responsible for the vaccines. They don't care. They're too busy doing mental gymnastics. CNN just gave their time to a national traitor, somebody who has stolen top secret documents, somebody who has potentially sold top secret documents to our enemies. Like, the definition of traitor. That is the person CNN, aside from all of his lies, aside from his inaction for the pandemic, CNN gave airtime to a traitor. To spew propaganda, to spew lies. And a failure. The dude has failed at every business he's ever done. Fired from his reality TV as a reality TV show host. He's a shitty husband. I can't imagine what his kids had to deal with growing up. He also failed to overthrow the government. The dude has failed. He's never won the popular vote. The dude is a failure. In so many ways, this dude is a failure. And then you have people on CNN like Anderson Cooper trying to defend CNN's choice by using this overused, I really hate the argument that he used, that you have to listen to both sides, which is just stupid, right? Because there's so much nuance if you just listened to the people on the left. Let me tell you, there's plenty of nuance and argument to be had on the left side of things. But when you look over to the fascist right-wing conservative party of America, they're living in a completely different reality. The things that DeSantis is doing, the things that Abbott is doing in Texas, the things that are happening in Tennessee, seeing the fascism and the laws that are being passed and the just inhuman dictatorships that are happening, why should those people be given a platform? Trump, who did nothing but lie the entire time, why exactly should we listen? We know he didn't say anything new. I wouldn't even have to, I've never seen Trump in an interview, right? I just, via osmosis from existing in the world and having sources and listening to people who are informed, who are critical thinkers, who not only do their research, they verify their research. I wasn't surprised that Trump lied 139 times. right? Maybe if there was a competition to guess how many lies he would tell on CNN, maybe I wouldn't have hit the exact number of 139, but I wouldn't have been surprised that it was full of lies. It would have been a number, and it would have been a much higher number than ever should exist for a presidential candidate. So as far as I'm concerned, Anderson Cooper loves that paycheck and doesn't seem to have a problem working for the new propaganda network for the conservative party. So ridiculous. Joe Rogan has made that same argument for why he has on so many ultra right-wing conservative people who are all criminal, like Alex Jones, Milo Yiannopoulos, the guy who started the Proud Boys things. Like, Rogan's had some of the most disgusting humans on his platform. He's given them a voice, and it's all garbage. It's like you're giving your platform to garbage and justifying their position. Joe Rogan, early in his podcast, had a AIDS denier on his podcast and was doing everything to set up a debate with him and legitimate doctors and scientists. But nobody would take that debate because to acknowledge that that guy is coming from a place of truth is more justification than he even needs. Allowing him to be part of the argument would on some level say that his argument has any basis to be argued. So I'm just so tired of like, oh, you're in an echo chamber just listening. Like, listen, as somebody who's left-leaning, like, I am far more on the socialist, like, I'm far more of a socialist than I am even a Democrat at this point. Like, especially, it's crazy. Like, Christians are the reason why I'm an atheist, and even though I was never Republican, there were definitely moments in my life where I was more centrist. But after seeing what the other centrists and Republicans have been like over the past decade, they just keep pushing me farther and farther left. Farther and farther left, to where they think calling me a socialist is some kind of pejorative. Calling me woke is some kind of insult. It is the most pathetic attempt at trying to get under my skin. It's hilarious. So, there's plenty of discussion in the reality that I exist in. I don't need to deal with, like, I'm not going to, like, if I'm going to talk to a scientist about something, I'm not also going to invite in a expert on Harry Potter or an expert on Christianity or an expert on, like, somebody who's into flat earth and, like, all these anti-science stuff. Like, I'm not. Why would I do that? Why would I? Because there's so many other viewpoints that are just absolutely ridiculous. So is CNN going to have flat earthers on? Because we have to listen to the flat earthers too. Well, of course. Why would you, if Hitler wasn't dead, would you have Hitler on? Because you got to listen to his point of view, right? Because we got to know. We got to know. Like, we got to know what Trump's going to say. We got to know what lies he's going to say. As if we couldn't just predict all of the lies that he's been telling the whole time. Ridiculous. So anyway, sources for that, apnews.com. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Swipe Up. I hope you enjoyed my thoughts and insights on the latest news and entertainment updates. Please join the conversation by leaving a comment or a rating on your favorite podcast platform or over on youtube.com/inspired disorder. Keep trying to poke the bear, crazy people. I'll see you next Thursday for more unfiltered opinions and fresh perspectives.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out. What?
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you can bring